I recently watched a video on YouTube of a Fox News broadcast hosted by Judge Janine Pirro. I'm not sure if she's a real judge or not. That may be just like a fancy show thing. I'll link the video down below, and I suppose you can make the determination for yourself. She was talking about the Boston Marathon bombings, though, and I tend to not like talking about that because I just view it as an unhealthy mentality. It's sort of like how most college universities won't talk about students committing suicide, because that's the type of activity where if you're suicidal and you see other people committing suicide and see them getting praise and empathy, it may encourage you to do that because it'll get people to at least think of you. So that's not a good thing if you want to stop suicide, so they don't do that. By that same logic, if you talk about the terrorist attacks in great length, you're going to inspire terror in the people, and that's the goal of terrorists, to inspire terror to create change. So if they see they have more potential to do that, more people will be incentivized to do that. I view that as a bad thing. However, this clip was talking about one specific aspect of the whole story, and that was the mother of the two children involved. One of them is dead, and the other is now trapped in legal limbo, so to speak. And she was talking about, for one thing, how her children were stolen away from her by America when she's staying in America. She's living here, she's getting benefits from the government, etc. And she says that her children were stolen from her. And I agree that that's not true, or at the very least, it's an eye for an eye, because the Boston Marathon bombing happened, obviously. That is a significant event. We have to be concerned about that. And if people do something bad, actions have to be taken. Now, we can debate whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, the way it was carried out, how exactly things are happening, but it's not like they were just innocent patrons. And she also talks about how there's misallocation of US government resources, etc. And I agree with a large majority of that too. But one point where I can't agree with her is where she talks about taking away this person's rights. Like basically shipping them off to Guantanamo and just doing what have you with them. And the idea is they have transpired against the US government. But what is the US government? The US government is really just us. It's us, the people of this country, of this arbitrary collection of people living on this splotch of land. We've decided that it represents us. So you can't just go against the government. You have to go against the society. And we have a way of dealing with that. That's the legal system. That's going through the courts. And I don't understand why the person who's of a racial minority gets this taken away from him. After all, he is a US citizen. Another example of someone who's a US citizen is James Holmes, the man who did the shooting in the movie theater in Colorado. Now, one specific clip of an interview from someone who's a survivor of the incident, he was in the room with James Holmes, and he described the man as just shooting straight forward with the machine gun. He didn't even pay attention to who he hit and who he didn't. He just wanted terror. He wanted pain and misery. He wanted to traumatize people. And he wanted some dead bodies, too, because that would help give him extra points, I suppose. Now, is that worse than what happened here at the Boston Marathon bombings? No. They're both equally bad, and we need to deal with them specially. We need to not be kind and merciful. We need to just do what's just, and that's why James Holmes has gone through the courts. And right now it's being determined whether he's going to get the death penalty or not. Now, I personally disagree with the death penalty, but if that's the legal precautions that we take, at least he's gone through the court system and we've determined whether he's guilty or not, or we will determine whether he's guilty or not. The same thing should happen for this person. Why does the white terrorist get special benefits that the non-white terrorist does not get? I don't understand that. I don't understand how that makes sense. If you stand for something of that nature, I don't understand how you can say you stand for America, you stand for freedom, for equality of all. You have to be innocent before you're found guilty, and you can't be found guilty unless you're found guilty in a court. You have to get representation by a lawyer. You have to have these things. And if you don't, how can you really say that that's fair? How can you really say that that is America? If they are guilty, they'll just be found guilty in the courts. So what's the opposition? Why the double standard? Why are you doing this?